Hello and welcome to the latest Science of Sport podcast. I'm your host Matt Solomon, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Joao Francisco Almeida. So Joao is a physiotherapist with the Portuguese gymnastics team, and recently he's been to the European Games where he helped athletes recover optimally between their performances. So who better today to discuss how you can improve your recovery than Joao? So without further ado, it's time to welcome him onto the show. So Joao, welcome to the Science of Sport podcast. It's a pleasure to have you here.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be here, mate. It's unbelievable that we can like discuss this at this level, and thank you very much for inviting me.
Oh, thank you very much for joining us. So, can you give us a quick introduction as to who you are and what you've been up to until now?
Yeah, of course. So my name is Joao Francisco Almeida. I'm a physiotherapist from Portugal. I also did my post-graduation in strength and conditioning and osteopathy. I have a master also in sports physiotherapy from Gimbernat in Barcelona. And since I was an athlete, I was a artistic gymnastics athlete for all my life. So connected to sports and to high demanding sports since I knew myself. And I did the transition to the sports physiotherapy since like I finished my degree. So working with gymnastics for all that time, but also being connected to rugby, volleyball, roller hockey, and also football. And yeah, so basically working in sports and individual and team sports, and connected to different federations and to the Portuguese Olympic Committee also.
Awesome, and that's where you were recently, right, at the European Games?
Yeah, just came from the European Games. 13 days, almost 15 days in Poland on the third edition of the European Games, like a mini Olympic Games, but for European countries, and it was an awesome experience.
And you've got a new challenge coming up as well very shortly.
Yeah. I'm moving to Saudi Arabia, so basically like I'm moving to the football world again, and into the Al Riyadh, a club that came to the first division on the first division of Saudi League, and competing in Riyadh against the no well-known club of Al Nassr of Ronaldo and Benzema. So anxious for the challenge because the investment on the league it's crazy right now. So also anxious for the challenge.
Awesome, mate. Awesome. But we're here to discuss tournament competition. So specifically a bit about recovery, because I know recently you did a really interesting talk on that, and obviously you've just applied it all in a tournament at the European Games. So, like, firstly, why is it important for athletes to recover between competitions or matches?
First of all, like recovery processes are in a they're a popular thing right now because sports is making a path in the physical performance, a huge path on the physical performance, much more, I guess, much more than technical. But the physical demands and the physical evolution of the athletes in most of the sports is huge. We see the difference from team sports as football, basketball. The physicality it's way bigger than it was. Players are much more intense, much more faster, stronger. So they are much more physical active than they were. Also, the demands of the sports in terms of money, investments, etc. It's way higher than it was. So also the media and all the leagues and all the environment around the sports is making a path of taking the sport into entertainment, taking the sport into a higher level of competition. So putting even more games, putting even more competitions in between the calendar. So imagine a football player, I don't know, for 15, 20 years ago, didn't had the amount of games that they have to right now. NBA, they play a lot of games, they play like 80 or almost 80 games per year. Even in track and field, now they have like different leagues in between in different meetings in between the major competitions. So the recovery processes took a path of also like follow the physicality. So an athlete is much more physical active, is competing much more, is aiming for much more performance and results. So which a high volume of trainings and games. So basically, it has to recover well, but because also, as we know, the athlete is better when he trains, when he plays, and not only on the gym or on the physical part. So technically, he still have to perform, and recovering between those processes, it become like vital too for the athlete to be in a higher level.
Absolutely excellent. So, excuse me. So when we're talking about recovery, then obviously there's loads of different things that you see coming through, right? You see like ice baths, and now you need compression boots, and you need electrical stimulation. But what's then the basics of recovery? Because we can get into some of the more interesting like therapeutic side of things later. But what are the real basics that athletes need to hit, and what are the scientific recommendations which back that up?
Yeah, obviously that we always like think on the latest trends on strength and conditioning, latest trend on technical parts on training. Like we all always aim for the last trend, the last, and we talked about Ronaldo, and we saw the cryo sauna that he has, and etc. And we see like a lot of different elite players or elite athletes recovering from all the different types of modalities. But the thing is, we never have to forget the basics, and that also applies to strength and conditioning, to the training. The basics, it's what it maintains and it holds the base of the training or the technical part. So it's the same as recovery. When we talk about recovery, we never have to forget that it's like a pyramid where like the base is the most important, and that base is divided in three vital things: sleep, the mental part, so the coping skills that you have to deal with stress and etc., and also the nutrition. So the base, like the fuel for your sport, for your well-being, it's the fuel that you have on your body, and that is given by the nutritional part. So those are the basic things. And with all this demanding on the sports, and also, for example, talking about the media, we have like football games starting at 9 p.m., finishing at 11:30, and the players, we forget, we go home, but we forget that the players still have to shower, still have to recover, still have to go home, sleep, and probably get traveling for that place to home, or traveling to another place to play another game in 2 or 3 days. So we have to pay attention to these small details and to the base of the pyramid, and sleep better, eat better, and like cope better with your stress, and with the load that you apply into the mental part is the base of recovery.
And obviously we can kind of break those down as well individually. So when it comes to sleep, what should athletes be doing in terms of sleep between their competitions?
So basically, in terms of sleep, it's different. The sleep is different if we talk about different ages. As we grow older, the necessity of sleep gets less. We don't need to spend that much time sleeping and recovering in the sleep, but the sleep normally tends to be much more important to recover on the physical part. Also, in terms of the sleep, there's the medium of the 8 hours, like 40 hours per week, or 8 hours per day that you have to sleep. It's the medium. Obviously, it's a little bit individual. There are players, or there are athletes. There are people that need to sleep less, and there are people that need to sleep a little bit more than the medium. But the usual, it's the 8-9 hours of sleep per day for a medium of a 25-year-old athlete, or a 25-year-old person, an active person. How can we do it? It has a lot of things around it, but mainly focusing on the setting of the sleep. So if the sleep is good, if the setting is good, you can recover well. You wake up naturally, you wake up feeling good, feeling recovered. In terms of like muscle pain or soreness that you feel, normally it's during the sleep, that soreness and that muscle pain or that physical pain decreases. So the levels of cortisol decreases. So all those stress, normally it's relieved during the sleep, and that is due to the setting that you sleep, to the ways that you prepare your sleep, the caffeine or supplements that you take during the day that can influence the sleep. Also the blue light of the screen, so preparing your sleep, the amount of contact of blue light that you have, also the sounds that you can apply or not during the sleep. If the setting is a setting that you feel comfortable and you don't have any sound that wakes your brain and that doesn't allow you to rest properly, and also the ability to put your sleep according to the daylight. So basically, our eyes receive the daylight, and they are the most important receivers of the light. That's why the blue light has a huge influence on the sleep, and the melatonin, basic in terms of basic stuff, but the melatonin and cortisol levels are regulated by the daylight. So it's also good for us to try to adapt our sleep and our recovery process to the daylight. It's hard during competitions, but actually we can try to do it and we can try to apply.
Absolutely excellent. And obviously the mental side of it is a really, really big one. And I don't want to get too much into it because we're going to talk for about half an hour. But are there little mental tricks that athletes can use to kind of improve their recovery on the mental side of things?
Yeah, obviously. Obviously, I'm not going to enter into to a specific thing, but in terms of recovery, there are simple tips and simple things that we can do. For example, preparing the next day, it's a huge difference for some athletes. Before going to sleep and avoiding, for example, the blue light, grab like a piece of paper or I don't know, like depends on what you have, but for example, a book or small book or some piece of paper, and just write what you did on that day, what you missed on the day, and what's your aim for the next day, what's your goal, what you have to do. And before going to sleep, you just spend like 15 minutes or 10 minutes like recording your day and aiming for the next days or for the next couple of weeks, and trying to see, okay, I have these goals and I did this today, and for tomorrow I cannot miss this and this and this, and the day it's going to be like this and this. So it's a small tip that some athletes feel that make a huge difference, because they spend like 15 minutes more or less reflecting on the day, reflecting on the activities, trying to make to differentiate the perspective that they had uh, immediately after training or during training of some actions that they did, reflecting on what can they change for the next days or for the next trainings, and at the same time they are avoiding like contact with blue light, with cell phones and etc. They are like in a rest environment, thinking on the things, like distressing a little bit and preparing for the next challenges. So for example, it's a small tip that some athletes can do. Also, some athletes feel that meditation is a huge difference, and they can do this mentally. They can do this process mentally on some meditation before sleeping, and it's already some evidence about it, and that creates a better sleep and creates a better distress um, during the next days or during the next trainings. So in terms of wellness, they registered better wellness scores on the next days. So it's there are a lot of tips, but these two simple ones, I guess, are the best ones and the most easy to apply, because it's no money no money implied. You don't have to do anything. Just think and reflect and meditate on what you do and prepare your next day.
Perfect, perfect. And the last one you mentioned was food, right? So
Yeah.
what can athletes be doing with their nutrition to make sure that they're fully recovered for the next competition or match?
In nutrition, we have to think also in terms of hydration. So water, the level of water is important, and the nutrition, you can see the difference. For example, in the judo or like combat athletes that have like weight to lose some of the days, and before competition, this lack of fuel, this lack of correct hydration it's vital for their sleep. Normally, they don't recover between sessions. They don't recover between days. They sleep. The sleep is awful. They cannot rest because it's during the sleep that our body is going to refuel all the tank that he needs to for the next days and for the next training. It's also during the sleep that we are going to reconstruct some of the muscle that we lost during the activities, like physical activity. So or training or strength training or etc. is during the sleep that we recover the muscle mass, that we recover some of the and reboot some of the glucose levels that we need. So the correct energy intake, it's vital for the recovery, because if the body is not having the correct energy intake during the sleep, it's going to or spend way more energy to try to find that energy intake that he needs to rebuild muscle mass and to rebuild the and to refuel the tank, or actually it's going to get in an alert situation where he just like pop and say, okay, you need to eat something, you need to drink something, because we don't have the enough amount of food or water to supply what we need. So normally, for example, for combat athletes, what they refer is that they, in the middle of the night, they wake up like, because they don't fall asleep in a deep sleep, because they wake up feeling that they are thirsty, feeling that they are like in a stress situation, because it's the alert of the body saying, okay, you don't have enough fuel to refill what we need. So that's why like the correct energy intake and the balance between the energy intake is so important to sleep also.
Perfect. So obviously that covers kind of like that base of the pyramid, which you said, right? So
Yeah.
when we start to build up that pyramid, what are some other options which athletes could be using to improve their recovery?
Yeah, so basically, this is like the base of the pyramid is like 90% of the things. If you do this well, and there's no money implied, obviously that the nutrition has an important part on the investment of the athlete. But if you have this base of the pyramid is like 90% of it, the other 10% you can choose other modalities that you use. So they're like the 90% is like these free topics, but then you have like 10% of the things that you can do that helps in certain situations. And in this 10%, we have a lot of things. So we have like the heat, we have the cold, we have like the passive approaches like massage, or like the foam rolling, or like the Theraguns, or the pulse rolls. We have like active strategies like aerobic recovery, and like aerobic exercise, or like more into a low level of strength training. We have like also some supplements or some things that we can add in terms of the nutrition. We have a lot of different stuff that we can apply, but those things are the 10%. Obviously, that they're important in some aspects. For example, as talking of combat sport or contact sports, as rugby, as American football, as judo, sometimes the ice, or the analgesic parts of the ice, or the contact with the contrast between the ice and the cold, the cold and the heat, can make a huge difference. For example, recovering or recovering the sensation, or decreasing the muscle pain, for example. And if the athlete decreases the muscle pain and decreases the pain that he feels, probably he could cope better with the stress of that pain, probably getting to bed a little bit like more relaxed, probably getting a better sleep and recovering well. So those 10% in some specific times can make the difference, but they are still 10% of it. So, and there's still a lot of like conflict evidence about each one of these topics. Obviously, that the most discussed and the most studied is the ice, the application of the ice, and it's one of the most effective in terms of recovery, because of the effect of the perception of the body, the feeling of less pain during after the application of the ice. So the analgesic part of the ice has a huge role in recovering, because normally the athlete feels better after it. Obviously, that you can mix it with contrast with the heat, and like make like a vascular pump to help to recover some small muscle damage, and but still the evidence is has the conflicts, has some conflicts, and obviously it's also very user dependable. So basically, if you feel better with it, it's a good recovery strategy. If you don't feel good with it, it's not.
I think that's some really good advice, and obviously I'm interested to hear how you pull all this together, right? So, you were at the European Games recently. How have you used that with athletes that you work with? Can you give us a case study as to how you've optimized recovery in one or more athletes during that time?
Yeah, sure. So the context of Olympic Games and European Games is a little bit different from the context of the normal competitions, because you don't know, the athletes go there normally, and they don't know at the detail the place where they are going to be, how it's going to be the conditions there, how it's going to be the schedules of the buses, and etc. 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 So it's a different setting of competition. Obviously, it's adapted to the athletes and to the sports, but at the same time is a multi-sport event. So it's not an event, for example, just for like the World Championship of Judo or the World Championship of Gymnastics. It's all focused on the schedules of those gymnasts. No, it's a multi-sport event. So they organize everything. Obviously that they organize it well. Most of the settings are prepared, but at the same time you stay on a villa together with all the athletes. There's a medical support for all the athletes. Some sports, some team sports bring their physios or their entourage, but most of the sports have like a medical support for all the teams, for all the sports. So the setting is different. So the main problem on this setting is the athlete doesn't know exactly how is going to be the food, how is going to be the sleep. They are going to share a room probably. They are going to share a room sometimes with the athletes that they don't know from other sports. It's interesting at the same time, but you can have different schedules. You don't know the logistics of the transports for the training fields, for the field of play. So the hardest part on this multi-sport events is the settings, the logistics around the athlete, because the athlete doesn't control it. So what we aim to do is try to, in advance, try to prepare all the things, try to prepare all the support of the athletes, try to see what are the specific needs for the athletes, try to see the schedules, and in advance, try to create the perfect setting for the athletes. In these European Games, it was the logistics was our main challenge, and I guess we could do it because like we had like different settings with distances that, for example, for 15 minutes, 1 hour, half an hour distance between the villa, the main village, athletes village, and the field of play. But we could do it because in advance we prepare the things, we prepare the creo, you prepare the meal time, we prepare the lunch boxes that are needed. So in advance we try to see what were the main schedules, what were the main things that the athletes need, what they are used to do or not. Because, for example, it's different to handle an athlete of badminton or taekwondo or Muay Thai or judo or beach handball. The needs are different, and so we aim and created a list of the needs of the athletes in advance to prepare the perfect setting of recovery. One of the problems for us was that in Poland the daylight gets like at 5 a.m. it's day. So at 5 a.m. you have like the daylight popping out on the window. We already knew that problem, so the organization already knew that problem, and the Portuguese Olympic Committee in advance prepared like some blackouts to put on the windows, and also provided like some ice sheets just to try to see if the athlete needed a little bit more dark to prepare the sleep and to sleep better. So with that, we just prepared the blackouts for all the rooms for the athletes that feel that they need to do it. Because, for example, for fencing, fencing started the training at 6:45 a.m. So probably at 5 a.m., 5:30 for them to wake up at that time with normal daylight will be good. But at the same time, for athletes that had like a game till, like for example, beach handball till 9:30 with an hour coming back, having dinner later, etc., they needed to sleep a little bit better. So obviously that waking up at 5 a.m. with 6 hours of sleep was not positive. So we just adapted the rooms also with the blackouts. And in terms of nutrition, there was a huge concern for the organization, and actually it worked well because they had several options. And sometimes we just advised, because we have a nutritionist working with us, working with the Olympic Committee, and we also have like formations and meetings before. So as a medical team, we all knew what was supposed to give and to proper fool the athletes. So we just advised the athletes to choose wherever they need in terms of energy intake after the competition. And we had like a cryo pool. That was the basic. But afterwards we have the cryo pool. We have like the massage guns. We had like some passive strategies that they could use depending on the settings. Obviously, that for example, we assessed if the athletes, for example, finish at 9, probably the passive approaches were not perfect to do it. Like it's not there. It's better for him to sleep better than to being massaged for half an hour or doing the cryo for 10 minutes, and instead of sleeping and eating well. So we just assessed, for example, even with treatments, it's really needed to treat the athletes at 10:30 p.m. It's really needed. If it's not, if we can use the an hour or half an hour or 45 minutes or an hour and a half on the next day to treat before the competition, probably it's better because he's going to recover better and the treatment is going to be better the next day. So there were like, we can divide this conversation in 5 topics. So prepare the mission. So in terms of multi-sports event, prepare the mission well, know the environment, know the setting, and try to prepare in advance. Okay, so for example, know that the time of the daylight is like it starts to get day at 4:30 in the morning, and at 5 in the morning it's day. So prepare the setting, know your athletes. So make a screening of the athletes the max as you can. Obviously, that 220 athletes, it's hard to do an assessment, but we tried at max. Adjust the time schedule, and then in competition, advise the athletes for what's the best strategy, and at the same time prepare yourself to adapt yourself to the schedules and to the best strategy. So in terms, for example, as a physiotherapy, I'm not choosing to treat at hours that I feel that the athlete is not going to recover. So I have to prioritize the athlete and not prioritize myself in terms of the schedule. So if it's better to treat at 9 a.m., I'm not going to sleep a little bit more, or not going to be doing something else because I'm prioritizing the athlete and I'm prioritizing myself. So
absolutely excellent, Joao. Massive thanks for your advice, time, and effort. Where can people find a little bit more about you?
So I guess social media and Twitter. I'm not using Twitter that much, but I'm going to start to use it. I just created that not long ago, so still getting used to Twitter. Just now, I'm more a voyeur than an active user, but aiming to use it. And Instagram, like my Instagram page, it's also like professional and personal, but I use it to communicate and to advise people that need some advice or need some things. So
perfect. And what are those links? What's the handle on those social media?
yeah, it's basically my first name is J, so in Francisco Almeida, it's my second last name. So they are the 2 main links is with the J Francisco Almeida. So you can find it. Perfect. You can find me there, and I actually like just any doubt, anything people can DM me and we talk.
Perfect. Thank you very much for your time and effort, buddy, and I look forward to speaking soon.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. See you soon, and thank you one more time for the opportunity.
Thank you. And that's it. Once again, a massive thanks to Joao for all of his hard work on today's podcast. I really appreciate it. I'm sure you do at home too. Before you leave, I want to point you in the direction of the Science of Sport Coach Academy. Now, the Coach Academy is an overgrowing library of sports science courses which are broken down into bite-sized chunks. So if you enjoyed today's podcast and you want to get some more great sports science information, all you have to do is hit the link in the show notes so you can get into the Coach Academy completely for free for the next 7 days. And in addition, you'll get a certificate of completion for every course which you complete. And if you have enjoyed today's podcast, it would be fantastic if you could recommend us to a coach, a colleague, an athlete, or a friend. That means that we can keep bringing you the best possible guests and the best possible content. And that's it. Once again, a massive thanks from me. I'm Matt Solomon for Science of Sport, and I'll speak to you next week.